Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm here to talk to you about different reasons why people think about going into recovery. It can be external and it can be an internal motivator. Different motivators for external reasons can be, but are not limited to, family pressures, it can be legal pressures, it can be environmental pressures. So they could be losing their housing, they could be losing their job. Environmental. Family pressures could be losing their children, losing their marriage. It could be losing their parents' love and relationship. External motivators that are legal can be jail, probation, prison, being on DOC, which is Department of Corrections, drug court. So those are external reasons and internal reasons why individuals can get into or think about going into recovery. Not everyone has those reasons, but those are the most popular reasons why I had clients coming into my office for therapy back when I was actively working. And just because they have an external motivator rather than an internal motivator does not determine whether or not they will be successful in their recovery. Some individuals who have a strong external motivator but not a strong internal motivator may find recovery and have long-term recovery and have better success at their recovery than someone with a low internal motivator with no external motivator, but come voluntarily to therapy. So it just depends on the individual. I've had clients of every type come through my office, and I have seen all of them either fail at recovery or succeed at recovery because they decided to pursue it. And it all depends on how much energy you put in onto what you get out. And that is something we all have to think about when we're looking at someone in addiction who's moving out of addiction. It's like, why? Okay, so when you have someone who is moving out of addiction, who's talking about, even just talking about quitting and thinking and looking at going into recovery, looking at seeking out a counselor, seeking out services in general, you want to support that individual because you want the best for them. Because you and society should care. There is a degree of care that should happen for those who are inflicted with this disease. And it is a disease. Others may disagree with me, but this is a disease. It is in the DSM-5, listed under mental health. It is a substance abuse disorder. It is a disease. It's just like diabetes. Yes, it is something that we inflict on ourselves, but at some point, our bodies depend on it. And that dependency is when it becomes a disease and no longer a choice. So just like with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, what you eat results in your pancreas not providing enough insulin for your blood sugar to be able to be at an appropriate level for your liver and your kidneys and your systems to work properly. Well, that is the same thing with your brain with drugs. At some point in addiction, when you're still just playing around with it, your body becomes dependent on that drug. and your brain can no longer function without that drug. And alcohol is a drug, caffeine is a drug, and sugar is a drug. It is listed as a drug. And 99.99% of Americans are addicted to sugar and caffeine, and we don't see it as a drug. Alcohol is seen as a substance that can be abused, but caffeine is not, and neither is sugar. But it's in every processed food that we eat. Everything processed has sugar in it, including the McDonald's salads. So, let's not necessarily be cruel and unjust to those who are addicted to a different substance that's not necessarily sugar, that won't be a type 2 diabetes, that will be something a little more destructive and a little more visually noticeable, like a substance abuse disorder, because diabetics can hide that very well, having type 2 diabetes, but a substance abuse addict can't necessarily hide it as easily. If you're shooting up, your arms are jacked up, and wherever you shoot up, if you're smoking it, your teeth get jacked up, and you're usually a picker, and your face gets jacked up, and there's all sorts of physical side effects from using drugs, where diabetics, most of the time, for a very long period of time, don't show the physical effects until it is so severe that they get other conditions such as gangrene, neuropathy, all these other things that can happen to a body that causes them to lose limbs and to physically show that they are diseased. So if we're going to look at it as a disease, and we as society has deemed it as a disease, but socially, Americans don't recognize those who are suffering in the moment that they see those suffering as people with diseases. They see them as addicts. And that's such a messed up way of looking at it, that they're demeaning that word, where it shouldn't be a demeaned word. It shouldn't be or have an emotion to it. It should just be what it is. It's a disorder. And that's okay. It's okay to struggle with a condition. That there are mental health conditions like I have. As you can see, I can't look at the camera very long. I have ADHD. Things move around me. I have to look at them. So, are we gonna dog on me? Hopefully not. But if you do, that's okay. You have the right to feel the way you want. I'm not gonna tell you not to. But this is what I'm saying. We need to be more considerate to individuals who are suffering with a disease and see it as such. And see that when they're looking at recovery, that we need to uplift them, because that means that they recognize that they have a condition and they want to get help. Just like with postpartum depression, a lot of individuals who were suffering with postpartum depression don't recognize that they have postpartum depression until it is so severe that they're having intense symptoms, where it is overwhelming and in dangerous levels. But once they recognize it, they get applauded for getting treated. Well, that is the same thing we should be doing for those with substance abuse disorder. Once they see it and start talking to someone and start seeking out help, we should be applauding them, not bringing them down, not dissing them. We should be lifting them up, because recovering from any condition is difficult. It is almost impossible, almost, not impossible, but darn near impossible, to recover and change the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. Very, very few people do it. There are only a few ways to do it. And bariatric surgery is one of those, which is what I am going to go through, because I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 2021. And I decided that I don't want to be someone who suffers with a condition that a lot of family members have and have lost limbs due to, and have lost eyesight due to, and have lost feeling in their limbs due to. So I'm going to be taking the step of bariatric in order to decrease my chances of continuing to have type 2 diabetes. It is not a cure-all, but it is a more likely chance that I won't have type 2 diabetes after I lose a certain amount of weight and don't intake so much calories and sugars. But that is the same thing with an addict. If you take away the substance and you take away the environment that they're living in, and you put them in a healthy one, and you put healthy things in front of them, and you put healthy things around them, and you put love around them, and you fill them with love, and you fill them with positive things, what are they gonna do? They're gonna exude positivity and good things, because that's how they feel. So of course they're going to express it and live it and love it. And that is what we need to do as a society, is uplift these people that are suffering today with this disease, is bring them together and support them. And if you want to hear more about my bariatric journey, all you'll have to do is stay tuned and come back soon